Hello, hello, ladies. Welcome to our virtual prosperity retreat. We're going to take a couple minutes and allow women to enter the room. And in the chat, if you can let us know from a scale of 1 to 10, how's your vibe today? How high vibe are you? A 10 is like, woo! Life is good. I'm at a 10. And 1 is like right next to death. I mean, like almost there. So we just want to kind of get an idea. Wherever you are, here's what I can promise you. If you hang tight for the next 2 hours, wherever you are, we're going to soar you up, 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 up. So it looks like Nicole, you're at a 10. Fantastic. I love it. I love it. I love it. And it looks like Judy, you just joined us. The question is, from a scale of 1 to 10, how high vibe are you today? In this moment, 10 is like, soaring like Nicole. And also, we'd love to hear where you are calling in from. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to start by setting a sacred space. Judy is at an 8. I absolutely love it. And what that means is that I'm going to light a candle. We're going to draw a card, just really opening up this sacred space. And what I want you to do is make this sacred for you, because you've set aside this time. You've set aside this time. And so if you're not calling in on your phone, make sure to turn your notifications on silent. We're going to do deep dive today and really investigate how to manifest your next 6 figures. You know, for many of you, it might be your first 6 figures. And for some of you, it's the next and the next and the next. And we're going to learn how to compress time. And here's what we know about time. Time is an illusion and it's man-made. So wouldn't it be cool to collapse time and learn how to manifest at the speed of wealth? So that's what we're up to today. So I'm going to go ahead and light this candle. And what I love about this candle is that it kind of makes the sound like a fireplace. And so anyway, like the games have begun. We've lit the candle. And I'm also going to go ahead, and whether you're, joining us live today or in the future, this might be a recording that we share. For now, I'm not sure. But I also want to clear your energy fields in this moment so that you can enter this space with clarity. And how am I going to do that? I'm going to do that through sound. Through sound. In fact, sound is an amazing vibration to clear energy, also to speak your truth and speak that which you are ready to bring, your life from the unmanifest to the manifest. So just take a moment. We're just going to go ahead and clear the energy with this bell. As you hear it, just maybe even close your eyes. We are going to do a quick meditation and just allow it to just kind of clear your field. I'm going to clear the field here. And for those of you that you're listening and you might be like, what in the heck is she doing? Then you might be in the wrong room, because we're a little woo here. We are here to manifest your next 6 figures from a very feminine space, from a high vibe space. Because here's what we know is money is energy. That's it. Money is energy. I know you've heard this before. It might not be a new concept, but are you relating to money as energy? As energy. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead. I'll be kind of keeping one eye open a little bit as we go on the inner and really open up this vortex of prosperity. We're also going to call, see what kind of animal wants to be with us today. Many of you, it seems the ones that are joining, you've been with me before, but those of you who haven't, we'd like to call in and connect to nature. Nature is one of the greatest reflections of abundance. Like, have you ever seen, a tree that's not abundant? You may have if you're looking at it in the wintertime, right? Timing's everything, but abundance is always available. So we want to connect into the natural world which is incredibly abundant. So I'm just going to close my eyes as I call in the animal that's meant to work with us as a totem animal for today. And that animal is the falcon. Woo! We got a bird today. All the birds are energies of visionaries, but here's the falcon. All right. And falcon is related to focus, action, purpose, and aspiration. So that's focus, action, purpose, and aspiration. So let's take a moment. Let's really get grounded. And then we're going to be jumping in today to the keys to bring the unmanifest to the manifest, to collapse time and to bring in your next six figures. Did you hear that? It kind of was a little slip there. That's because it should be pleasurable. It should be pleasurable, ladies. It shouldn't be hard work. There should be, there might be some work, but it should come with ease, grace, and flow once you get some of the medicine and the recipes and the strategies from today. So without further ado, let's go ahead and close our eyes and take a moment to become conscious of your breath as you breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth. We call in our angels and our guides. We call in the leaders of the light as we open up this sacred space for prosperity activation, as we learn how to collapse time, and we create a recipe for success. We call in falcon as it represents focus and vision. We call in the energy of dolphin, the playfulness, the consciousness of community and breath. And we call in wolf, the teacher, reconnecting to our instincts. And in this moment, go ahead and call in any other animals that you feel connected to. Or maybe let's call in Archangel Michael to protect us. And if there's any other being that you would like to be present, only those of the light are welcome here. So go ahead and call them in. Call in your team. That's it. And then let's ground your energy all the way down into the center of the earth. Down, down, down. Feeling Mama Earth beneath your feet. And then in your mind's eye, imagine a sacred circle of women. These are your sisters in the path to prosperity. And imagine holding hands as you feel your own anchored energy, but you also begin to feel the energy of the group, the collective, your tribe. Feel the energy rising up the left arm, across the heart, down the right arm, and just feel into this vortex as it begins to circulate round and round and round. And as you breathe deeply in each out breath, I want you to let go of fear, release it, let it go, letting go of thoughts, beliefs, patterns, and behaviors that no longer serve you as they relate to money and prosperity. That's it. That's it. And the energy of creativity just came in with the color of orange, because this is a co-creative process, both with your intentions and your desires, and co-creating with Source, with God. I want you to breathe in that next 6 figures right here, right now. Breathe it in and feel it in your field. It's one breath away. That's it. And then go ahead and set an intention for you today. Think about us wrapping up with the retreat, and make a decision right now. How do you want to feel in this retreat by the end? What's the feeling that you're after? Just make that dedication now. In your mind's eye, release your hands, and then bring your hands up to your heart, connecting to your heart space, your individual heart space. As you come back into the room, looking into the eyes of these amazing women joining us from all over with that gentle nod. I see you. I see your brilliance. And with that, we officially begin. So where do I want to start today? So, you know, well, for those of you that might be new to me, just to kind of let you in on, why I'm so passionate about this body of work that I do, is that there was a time, and it now seems like forever ago, and at the same time, it seems like one breath ago, is that I had been in business as a coach for about 5 years, really, really struggling. I was doing all the things that I'd been trained in doing. I had invested tens and thousands of dollars, and I was at what I would consider a breaking point, or maybe what you would call a breakthrough or turnaround, or whatever you want to call it. But we were at that point where I was going to quit. I was going to quit coaching. And it's hard to even say that, because when you have a calling, it's bigger than a goal. Yes. It's bigger than a cult. Like, it's a calling. It's your purpose on the planet. And everything felt so good as I was sharing and connecting with my clients. But the reality was more money was going out than was coming in. And I was about $130,000 in debt. And very, very close to quitting. And some of you have heard this story, and it was a fall day, and I was talking to my coach, and it was that turnaround for me. And she said, I think that in order to really save this business, you're going to have to double your rates. And I was like, double my rates? Oh my gosh, you're crazy. Who would ever pay, for me to double my rates? And she said, well, what's the worst that can happen? Because you're really close to quitting. You're bringing about $50,000 in, but that's all going out the door. And you've got a 5-year-old daughter and a mortgage and all the things. What's it going to take? And she said, I think that that's the fastest path for the turnaround. And I said, yeah, I guess the worst that could happen was that no one signs up. And so she said, all right. She goes, are you willing to give it 30 days? And I said, yeah, I'll give 30 days. And as my stomach is turning, I feel ill and sick and going, oh my gosh, what did I just commit to? And yet I love a good challenge. That was the day that everything changed, because over the course of the next year, I became that CEO of my dreams. And I had to create her. Because I really didn't know who she was. I had to create a really close relationship to her and build out a platform or a roadmap to who she was with deep investigation. That was the year that I tripled my business. That was my first 6 figures and beyond. So I took from 50,000 to 150. But it wasn't so much about the money, because I've never been motivated by money, really. It's been more the motivation of that calling that I talked about, and the give back. But my relationship with money had to transform, and that was related to how worthy I felt of that next level and the results that I could provide women. So that's kind of that is my why and why I'm here. And I love to tell that story again, because today is your day that everything can shift. And there's going to need to be some conscious decisions of today's the day. So to give you an outline of what we're up to today, we're going to start with this symbol that was downloaded from me of how to bring the unmanifest into the manifest. And I'm very visual. Raise your hand if you're visual, if you're very visual. Yeah, I think almost everyone raised their hand. Some of us are more feeling based, some of us more vision. We're all a little bit different, but for those of us that learn differently, I want to provide that visual. And some of you have seen this before, but many of you have never seen this before. So let me just pull it up first. And then I'm going to share the screen with you. And here we go. All right. So here's the, ladies, do you see the visual? Okay. All right. So you might be thinking, here we go again. I've been down this road before. What's going to be different? And so I wanted to kind of give you a visual of how do we manifest? Like, this is actually a visual of how do we manifest. And it was inspired by, well, it was inspired by many things, but it was like this beautiful confluence of many things, because I'm going to show you another image here in a minute. But it was inspired by an experience that I had many years ago. And I was reading a book called Zero Point, The Zero Point. And it was this idea that everything comes from no-thingness. Everything comes from no-thingness. Said differently, everything comes from source or comes from oneness. In fact, everything that you have in your life came from a place that can't necessarily be seen, but there was a moment that it came from the unmanifest to the manifest. It was energy. It was in vibrational alignment with that thing that maybe was just a thought. This is how everything in creation is manifested. It starts with this, what I call 0 point field, or the unmanifested, represented by a circle. You could say God. You could say source. You could say, it's spelled wrong here, I notice, the limitless, the oneness, the unknown. And so when I was reading this book, it was quite fascinating. And it was this experience of, okay, go into that. Everything is meaningless and everything is meaningful, and that void. And I was looking at my bank account, and like I often did. And when I went and looked in the bank account, guess how much money I had? Goose egg, 0. And my heart started to flutter. And I was like, oh, crap. Are you kidding me? I have no money. And in that moment, I knew that I had a choice, that I could actually believe money is something that you see, right? Or it is energy. And if the truth was that it was energy, I knew that it was just kind of just a moment of a teaching of that. So instead of flipping out, which many of you would have done, I decided, give it 24 hours. And again, I'd been doing these manifestations and this exploration of the 0 point field, and this idea that money is just energy, and in the computer it's just a bunch of zeros and ones and zeros and ones and zeros and ones. And within 24 hours, I looked back into the account and everything was restored. So while you may have never had an experience like this, it really proved to me it's just energy. And so that what you see in your account, it's not necessarily what your available balance is, so to speak, because your available balance is actually worth, and you are worth, millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars. Looking at a bank account statement is just one way in the physical world that we kind of check in. But in this moment, if you were to look in your bank account, there is potential that is already, by you stepping into this vortex, it could be multiples of what you thought it was. So, anywho, this is the unmanifest. This is the oneness. This is the energy. Okay. And it's represented by a circle. If you look at any spiritual masters, you'll see many of them have a halo. Angels have a halo. And it's represented of the oneness, that connection to God. So I just wanted to let you know and write this down, whether you realize it or not. If you were to make a commitment today that God is your source, or spirit is your source, or nature is your source, you don't have to use the word God, but like this commitment to know that it's so much bigger than you. It's so much bigger than you. Okay. So this is where it all comes from. Now, here's what's funny. So we've been talking about the unmanifest, which is the energetic frequency of, there's so much money that you have access to, you can't even comprehend how is it going to come, or, what is that number, that's going to reflected in my bank account. Okay. So now I want to move to the bottom part, which is this part. And this is where I'm going to have you start actually doing some work. And then we're going to talk about the integration of the two. So the second part of this is this square. So actually what I would love for you to do is draw this thing that looks like a house. So there's the square, There's the childlike roof on top. I say childlike because I've never been a great artist. So I like to keep things really simple. And then the circle around, I'm going to explain it all of what it means. So the next part of this diagram we're going to look at is the square part. I'm going to stop the share for just a minute because I want to talk about this and bring it into your life. Yeah, Judy, I'm looking at the chat now. Judy says, kind of like the halo behind you. Is there a halo behind me? I don't know. Maybe there is. How cool is that? Love it. So do you all have your rudimentary house drawn and labeled it? Beautiful. Because what I want to talk about now is what's in the box. What's in the box? The box is the manifested. It's what's already in physical form that you actually think is real, which is debatable, right? But, you know, it's like this desk right here, right? It's the heaviest vibration. It's the thing that we can see and touch, and we've been taught that it's real. But for now and for today's purposes, this is what we're going to work with, which is the manifested, Okay. So I want you to take a moment. I'm going to give you a couple minutes, and I want you not only to like look around your room, but really in the area that you're in, I want you to think about what are the things that are currently in your life that were once a dream. And I'm going to go ahead and give you just a couple minutes to identify, because we're going to talk about the bridge today and give you a recipe. But we've got to actually start with what do we already have in our physical realm in that box that once was a dream, And as we do that, I'm going to see if I can play a little healing music for you. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear a little bit of music. Cool. So all you're doing is you're writing down, and you could put it in your box or just brainstorm beneath it. What are the things in your life that used to be a dream, but they're here in this earthly, dense, physical realm? I love Rhonda just put in the chat, kind of struggling with this. I mean, wasn't everything we have once had a dream? Possibly, but possibly not. You know, the big things, like the big things for me would be like, I remember the day, if we're talking about just money, I remember the day that I hit my first $10,000 month. And now, if I make less than that, it's kind of like there's something wrong. Energetic, it feels like, wow, something's off. But it was once a dream. Living in downtown Boulder in a house with a white picket fence, with a husband and a kid, 13-year-old daughter. That was once a dream. You know, maybe you worked in corporate America and you thought, wow, I'd love to work for myself. And now you are. And that was once a dream. Yeah, Michelle just says, I also have experiences that were a dream. Recent trip to Europe with the family, for example. Yeah, that was once a dream. So we're just going to spend a little bit more time here. because what I'm doing here is we're going to work on, not work on, bring to awareness a number one key to open up next level prosperity. And I tend to attract high achieving, ambitious women, perfectionists that, man, they do a lot of goal setting in their lives. So if you're having a tough time, just think about, what were those goals? You had them, maybe you forgot, and maybe you stopped dreaming because things like, maybe it seemed like things slowed down or something. All right. Go ahead and look up into the camera. Give me your eyes when you are complete, and I know that it's time to move on. We're going to give you one more minute or a little bit less as we move into the next section. Judy says, inner peace was once a dream. It may not be material. Judy, that's actually a great example. And so I would say that that is a fantastic example, especially as it relates to money. Peace is a quality that will serve you next level. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and turn this music down. All right. I also have to give a shout out to Kelly, who's actually on the call. Because what I just did, I played music in the background, and we did a sound healing at a cacao ceremony. She brought her bowls this past weekend, and I learned how to do that with ease, grace, and flow, which is like a little button. Oh my gosh. So anyhow, let's go back. And actually, here's what I love, because I love to get your voices in the room. And that is, I want to know a handful of things. We're not going to have a chance to have everyone share, but I just want to kind of see what's in the room. So the easiest way to do this is just unmute yourself to share what was once a dream that's actually in your physical reality.
Once I worked in government, and I had a dream of being able to sit in the sun in the morning and just enjoy my coffee instead of having to rush into work.
Oh my
And now I do that.
Awesome. Awesome. And this is for all of you, because what we're going to do is really, Angela, what I'd love for you to do is just put your hand on your heart, and let's just take a moment and say, I give thanks for that. Beautiful. All right. Who else would like to share?
So I have two. One's kind of funny, but the other one, I was raised with my dad and my stepmom and I did not get along. And so now I have a relationship with my stepmom that I honestly never thought would be possible. It's not perfect and it's not all the way there yet, but it's so much better than I ever could even dream that it would be.
I just got chills, by the way. Oh my gosh, that's beautiful.
That's amazing. And the other one's just kind of silly, but it's a physical thing. I have for years wanted an adjustable bed, the old people's Craftmatic.
Yeah.
And we were able to buy one several years ago. And I will tell you, through COVID and some of the other issues I've had with health lately, it has been just a godsend having that bed. So that was something huge that I've been wanting, but actually turned out to be something that was actually very useful and needed.
Oh, beautiful. I love it. So hand in your heart and say, and thank you for that. Yeah. All right. Let's get one more voice in the room. Just unmute yourself.
Kelly.
Yeah, Kelly. Can we see you, beauty? Or not?
Yeah, I'm walking through school, but it's fine.
All right.
I would say I always wanted an Airbnb because I've stayed in them all over the world. And I'm so grateful that I have one in my basement and can welcome people from all over the world every month. It's amazing.
I love it. You know what I love about that is you gave an example of something as it relates to money today, which is passive income, but you had to make an investment, right? So hands on your heart and say, and thank you for that. There you go. All right. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So as I said, the physical realm is the densest, right? It is the densest. And yet it is evidence of where your vibration has been, where your vibration has been. And so let's move back to the imagery. And by the way, today, ladies, is I am going to show you like a recipe. So right now we're going to work with more of the energetics first, because here's what I know is that money is actually feminine. And some of you don't realize that, because we live in a society that really relates money to very masculine. And it's like, if I go on YouTube right now, and if I were to Google what I promised you today, which is like, how can I make my next 6 figures? It's going to be like so intense. It's about work, like, blah, blah, like it's just, there's like a level of intensity and we're taught that you got to work. And then the other side of the inauthenticity, in my opinion, is that they go to the total other side, which is like, I'm going to teach you a manifestation technique that you blink your eyes and in front of you, it's like the Vibhuti consciousness, which I'm not a spiritual master, and I should say yet, right? And my guess is if you're on this call, you wouldn't say, oh, I'm a spirit. Like that Vibhuti consciousness is where you actually think it. You open your eyes and it's there. Like this is what like the ascended masters that have gone into caves, have been able to do. And I think that we all can do that. Right. But there's just a lot of inauthenticity out there. And the reality is money, it needs structure. It needs the masculine, which is why I'm going to give you a recipe today. But it starts with the energetics. And so that's where I wanted to start today's conversation, is with the energetics. But what you just revealed to us is your kind of like your manifestation muscle of what you've been able to do up to this point, which is what's in the physical world right now that used to be a dream. You did it. You did it. Or you co-created it, which is what I would say. And let's go ahead and bring up that image again. Rhonda says, I'm so sick of the word hustle. Yeah, you are a wordsmith. What word should I use? Right? But yeah, I am too. Hustle, the hustle and the bustle and the grind. And yeah. All right. So here's what's really cool. Is this triangle? In the middle of it is you. You are the interface between the unmanifested and the manifested. So if you don't have what it is that you say is on your heart or that you desire, there's a disconnect, some kind of disconnect with source. And that's not to say, I don't want you to hear that through the lens of there's something wrong with you, because I'm the first one to say there's nothing wrong with you. There is absolutely nothing wrong with you, and you are enough. Okay. But what I know is the more that we can open up to the unmanifested and open up to receiving the next level, this dance of the divine becomes magical. It becomes magical. So that's what this interface is you. Now here's what I'm gonna play with some shapes today. You're gonna have some fun with it. But I want you to imagine if there's like a little point here, if I could draw a little dot and actually draw a little eye around it. Do you ladies know what that symbol might be? If I were to draw a little, like the third eye right here, and we just looked at the triangle, where do you see that image? Unmute yourself if you know the answer. Yeah, go ahead.
Dollar bill.
On the dollar bill.
Money. Yep.
On money. On money. Okay. So if we want to manifest this next 6 figures in record-breaking time, then we need to investigate this relationship between source and us. Because what I might surmise is either you just haven't had a good plan. I'm going to give you the plan today. My plan's not the only plan. It's a plan that's worked for me the fastest. Okay. but it also is that everything is energy. So when you're carrying repellents, these are energetic repellents. They look like reflectors in the field. I'm going to stop the share. Then those, it's like that source wants to come to you, and yet there's something in you that's reflecting it back. That is in the energetics of like your beliefs, or who you think, like, who do you think who do you think you are? And I don't mean like almost like that, how do I say this? A disconnection with all of who you really are, which you are God, right? Or you are the creator, or you do create, but you know what? You tend to diminish and turn the volume down because somewhere along the way, someone told you that you were too much. Yes. Have you all heard this? I heard this a lot growing up. You're too much, you're too much. And it was just like, well, you just want to fit in. So for you, that next 6 figures is you might not fit in. You might not fit in anymore, but you know what? I'm already telling you, if you're on this call, you don't fit in anyway. So why not be a sacred rebel like me and do things your way, right? So anyway. All right, Kelly's clapping her hands. All right, let's do this. Let's move into some of the strategy. Are you guys ready for a recipe? A recipe for your next 6 figures? Some of you have heard this before. Some of you, this is new, but I'm going to tell you what I think you shouldn't do first. All right. Again, this is my perspective, right? But I'm going to start there. I'm going to see if I can get this cool thing, my remarkable tablet, so that you can see my childlike artistry. So let me just make sure that I can share. And we're going to do some rudimentary drawings again with the beginning of how not to build your business. And what I share this just because I have found it to not work for me. So I'm going to tell you how I started and why I think that I was going more and more and more into debt. On the outside, I was a good student. I was a really good student, and I invested a lot in myself. And here we go. It's working. Yay. I remember hiring this woman. I was in this program called the MIT program. Doesn't that sound good? Isn't that good? She's good. Which was the Millionaire Intensive Program. And first of all, first say that it was 100% masculine. It was really, and not that masculine is bad. It was just go out and get it, kind of work hard, kind of what we grew up with. But I thought, she was this beautiful woman, and I was like, wow, I want what she has. So I followed what she said. As I said, I was a good student. And let me show you. I'm going to share the screen. Let's see if this works. I'm going to show you visually again, because I know some of you are more visual. I'm going to show you what she told us to build. And some of you have probably heard of this. Uh-oh, there's a triangle again. You're going to notice some shapes. All right, I'm going to have some fun with this. Okay. All right. Who has seen or heard of a funnel? Raise your hands. You've heard of a funnel, right? And I thought she was really creative because she turned that funnel into a martini glass. You guys seen this? Right? And the idea behind this, and there's a ton of people still teaching this. But you start with getting many people as you can into your funnel. So like, what would be up here? What would be up here? It would be, first of all, it's going to be free. Okay. And these are going to be maybe your master classes. Raise your hand. I'm curious. Has anyone ever done the masterclass thing? Right. And try to put it like on autopilot and all of that. That would be an example. Free could also be your free download. It could be free consults, right? Free, right? And the idea behind this is to build your list, build your list. And if this is all of your focus, you will also be attracting a certain kind of person, a certain kind of person. There's going to be a place for this, so don't get me wrong. But it's this idea of go from free to maybe here is like, what do you think? A group offer or a book. Maybe it's a book. It's low ticket though. It might be a course. That course would probably be maybe like, I don't know, 47 to, let's say, maybe 500. 500 is kind of getting up there. And some people might even say under 1,000, but that's starting to feel big ticket, right? So we'll just say from like 47 to maybe 500, all right? This is 500 actually seems a little higher, right? And that we could actually put this a little bit higher. Let's do that. It's almost like, let's just put this more of like the mini course, right? Let's say that it's under 100. Okay. So it's like 20 to 100. And then let's say that this would be more like your group that's more like 300 to maybe 997. Again, that's starting to get up into the high ticket, right? But you go through these different levels, and we're going to talk about them for a little bit. But you try to get as many people as you can to sign up. But the last step is down here where the olive is, which is one-on-one. Okay. And this is your high ticket. Okay. And when I say high ticket, honestly, let me tell you what I mean. And I've been using the same statistic for like over a decade. So I should probably upgrade with the cost of things, right? But when I say high ticket, what I'm talking about literally is minimum. I say like $1,000 a month for something, but at the minimum, kind of like 2K, right? And that's like really, really low, honestly, for you to like really get that next to your next 6 figures. What I'm going to talk about today is more like a 10K offer, right? But this could be a 25K, 100K. And to kind of give you an idea is if you use this model as it's intended, there is what's called a long buying cycle, which can you see they've got it like to get to the bottom of the olive, which is who likes the olive the best? I like the olive the best. And I like the olive with the blue cheese in it. All right. Like that's my favorite. Right. But like it takes a while. You got to sip the drink to get down to the olive. So it's going to take, there's a, what's called, write this down. So write her down there. There's a long buying cycle. And it also requires a lot of volume for someone to finally get to the best part of what you could deliver, like your juiciest stuff, the olive with the blue cheese, like your best stuff. It might take them months and months and months. And by the time they get there, you know, they're like, they might not even see like what you could really provide. All right. So this is one approach. All right. So what I did as I did this, my free was, you know, actually, I didn't even have a great, I think I had, so when I was doing dating coaching, the freebie was like, you know, was related to dating tips, like top tips. Right. And then it ascended to, I spent a ton of time, energy, and resources to write my first book. And it wasn't the books that you all are being trained to write, which is more of like a really fancy business card, which is more of like a sales piece, which is maybe a, you know, like 50 page, maybe 100 page. There's not really a lot of oomph to it. And this is a great strategy. I'm not saying it's a bad strategy. So let me don't get me wrong. I'm not saying this strategy is bad. It just takes remember I said I want to teach you how to compress time? My experience. So I wrote a book, and the book took, I think, like a year plus, right? And then after I wrote the book and I was still broke, but I was starting to get the following, and I had like a forum, I had a community. And then my husband was like, you need to make a course. So then I spent yet another year like, oh, I wanted my course to be beautiful, right? I had everything filmed. I hired a graphic artist. Like, I like things to be beautiful. I started out, it was like $97. It maxed out at like, I think you can buy that course now for like $297. I played around with like $497. And I was in that launch cycle thing. I studied Jeff Walker. I did all the things, right? I had things automated. My gosh, time, money, and resources. And 5 years in, I was, what did I say? Broke. So if we want to collapse time and create your next 6 figures within a short amount of time, in my opinion, because of my experience, this is the long road to maybe. It's the long road to maybe. And yeah, so that's the old way. For me, this is the old way. All right. But if you want to collapse time and do this fast, remember the promise of this workshop today is making your next 6 figures at the speed of wealth. I actually would like to see it in the speed of light because it can happen fast. I'll tell you, one of the big breakthroughs I had was last year. I received a healing. Many of you have heard this. And in that healing, we cleared my energetic money blocks that were reflecting within 24 hours, within 48 hours, I manifested $86,000. Could I have done that with just a book offer and a course for $497? Maybe. But the way I was actually able to do this, and by the way, I didn't work any harder in those next 48 days. It's not like I got on the phone and started calling people and, right? It actually was a grace code. It was a grace code. And I want to train you ladies you already have the grace in you. It's going to require you to let go, but you also might need a different strategy, right? And this is what I'm going to suggest is now what I want you to do is actually, I wish I don't think I can. So let's be creative here. Before I do this, I'm going to attempt to draw what I just drew backwards. Give me a second here. Hang on. Oops. That wasn't that great, but that's okay because you're not investing in me because of my artistry. Did that work? No, it didn't. Yeah, it did. So what I just did work. What do you see? I saw this one day when I was training in this. And maybe I do this. There you go with the long neck. Right? Because you want to extend and think about things differently. Right? So we're going to turn it upside down. What do you see? A woman. Right? That's you, lady. Ready to receive the money and the joy in your next 100. Okay. So that's how we're going to teach you today. All right. So I'm going to turn it upside down. That was really goofy because, again, I know many of you are visual. We're going to turn this baby totally upside down to get you back to that really cool place where the third eye opens and it's the money sign. And you start where you used to begin. Doesn't it also look like a pyramid? Like I'm getting ready to go to the pyramids of Egypt. And can't wait to bring home some of the Egyptian manifestation techniques, which I've already started to learn to bring to you ladies. But what I'm going to suggest is doing the way that I did this, which is that turnaround is what you need to get you there the fastest, in my opinion, is you need to start here which is one-on-one. It's one-on-one offers. And many of you are very resistant to that because you've been indoctrinated into this. And it's hard when you've been trying and trying and trying this, and you haven't gotten to where you want to go from that to turn it upside down, which is this. The value that you can bring right now one-on-one is like people, especially post-COVID, they value connection. And everyone's different. In fact, the way I train women, and it all starts with whether it's high end or now, I have that whole martini funnel all built out, right? But if I were to rebuild it again, which is actually how I launched Worth International, I launched it from what I learned. Which is one-on-one. You need at least need a 10K offer, right? And let's just say, and many of you are like, a 10K offer, all of your worthiness shit comes up. I don't have that, right? How could I ever do that? Write this down. Your life is your PhD. Your life is your PhD. And the ideal person that you are meant to serve is who you were, maybe even just like a year ago. Why do I say a 10K offer? Why do I go high ticket first? I go high ticket first for a couple different reasons. Number one is that you can create results when you're right partnering arm in arm with your gifts, And you might be listening to this if we do end up sharing this recording at some point, and you've already made your, that first 6 figures, and you're wanting the next 200,000 or 300,000, the same, if it, the thing that you can do right now is different than the future. So in the future, that 10K offer will be a 50K offer or a 100K offer, right? But here's what I know is that you can also do this part-time, right? I did this until my schedule got so busy that I was like, maybe it's time to create a group offer. This is how I built Worth International. So what I did is I did one-on-one, and it was more than a 10K offer. I think we relaunched with a 30K offer. But I've been doing this for a while. I wouldn't have you start there because you're probably going to get no's because your capacitor isn't big enough to receive yet, because you still have the junk and the conditioning of some version of I'm an imposter, or I don't think I can get people the results, or some version of that doesn't allow you to get to that 100K offer or that 30K offer. But 10K is kind of the minimum for the recipe. So again, one of the things that it does is until you build up that, I never wanted more than, I think at max, I had like 20 clients one-on-one, and I was like, I'm working too hard. So then we do a restructuring. So then it's time to go, okay, what was the thing you get to, when you do this, here's what you get to do is you get to do one key. So first of all, the one key that we started you with today, whether you realize it or not, is gratitude. That's the first place to start, which is why I had you look at what you had, put your hands on your heart and say, thank you for that. Gratitude is a gateway to prosperity. So when you're in that feeling of scarcity or lack, or I'll never even make it to 500,000 or 600,000 or $1 million, the place I always start is within that more dense place of like, what have you already done? Just to remind you and to be in deep, deep gratitude. It opens up the gateways, the energetics of next level, right? So always start with gratitude. Always start with gratitude. It'll get you in vibrational alignment. And if you don't have gratitude as a daily practice, this is your first to-do list of your to-do list. I practice gratitude every single day, right? At the end of the day, if for some reason it didn't happen, in fact, I have a little heart stone on my by my bedpost or beds, whatever, the little stand, right? And it's a little heart, and I hold on to this little heart at the end of every day, and I think, God, what was my favorite part of today? And I give thanks. It can be as simple as that. Okay. And that heart, man, it is charged, right? Can you imagine accumulating that? So anyway, you always start with gratitude, but my whole point is this high ticket idea is that it establishes you as an expert. It gives you positioning. So all those free people that you used to spend so much time trying to ascend them, it's like pushing a huge rock up the hill. It's exhausting because you're not really magnetized those people that'll pay and pay attention and actually follow through on your wisdom and do what you say that they should do. And so it creates that expert place of worthiness, so that when you come down to here, when it's time, this is where we launched Abundance Unleashed. I didn't start with Abundance Unleashed as a group program. It was after my schedule was so full, I couldn't take on anymore because I didn't want to work harder. And I didn't do it the way I used to do it, which was to hang out with your computer in coffee shops for a year plus and have beautiful videos and hire a videographer and hire a graphic artist and get the logo right and all the things, the investment in that. If Abundance Unleashed didn't sell, then I could go, oh, wow, I didn't quite hit it. But what I want you to do is to embody this idea where you earn while you learn. It's the differentiator. The market will always speak. The market will always speak. So let's talk about, I'm going to stop the share because I want to talk about a little bit of the math behind why do I start with 10K. So one of the things that I learned in human design is that, and this is one thing that we do a very basic in our Abundance Unleashed class, is we look at your human design and how you're wired to make money. And there's this thing called environments. Your environment. And there's a certain environment that we are all meant to thrive in. To kind of like create that next level of energetically supporting your aura. And mine is what's called wet kitchens, which is kind of funny. Wet kitchens. You're like, what? Mm-hmm. And so as an alchemist, what do we do in the kitchen? So first of all, I'm not a baker, I'm a cook. I can bake, but baking for me, there's too many rules. I guess I haven't gotten that level of expertise where I can just like wing it. There's like reality shows, like the baking shows and everything. I'm always like, oh my gosh, right? Because to me, baking is more like the scientist with the big goggles and like there's actually like it is a science. It is science. Rhonda says baking is more science required, mm-hmm. Right? And so, as wet kitchens, like what I love most is the creation, right? And as an alchemist, turning water into wine, right? Turning steel into gold, like whatever it is, like I am the alchemist and I'm here as an alchemist for you. So wherever you are, we want to transform and alchemize you to that next level so that you can receive. So what I love to do is I love to open up the kitchen door and see the refrigerator door and see what's in there. And I lay them out and I start creating. And it's so much fun. And you never know what's really going to come out on the other side, right? So if that is how you're wired, there will be aspects of that in your 10K offer, but I want to give you the science repeatable, it works every time version of baking. Does this make sense? I want to give you the recipe today that like I know with consistency, if I add 3 eggs and a cup of sugar and whatever of flour, like I know with great consistency that I'm going to get the cake at the end. I want you to get the cake. Is that okay? So can we just kind of talk about what the baking is like? We're not going to be the, the master chefs today. I'm just going to give you the basic recipe. All right. So again, a 10K offer. Many of you can't even comprehend that. And that for me is like the starting point. Why? Well, if we go with the old model, which is like sell the book first, because, you can get a ton of people to sell the book and then they slowly ascend, right? How many books Well, let's just actually let's do, instead of a book, let's do a course. Let's say you have $100 course, right? I actually have someone in my group right now that I'm working with that she wasn't listening to me, in the sense of like, she just wanted to come out of the gate and create that course just like I did. And her price point is like 500. And what's happening right now with this woman that is is not being as coachable, so to speak, right? I've given her the recipe, and she's brilliant, like all of you are, right? Is that she's got 2 people sign up, and guess what energy is starting to rise in her? Resentment, because she actually knows how talented she is. And that same that she's teaching and her calendar is pretty clear, that same thing could be 10K or more. And for her, more, because she's a doctor, right? But I'm just watching her struggle, and it kills me, because she is the former version of me, which was, for me, it was that 97 that it made it up to 297. That in the end probably profited, I don't know. We had like a couple $5,000 launches, which for you right now, that might be like, oh my gosh, it didn't start there. But we're talking years and years and years. Okay. So here is the recipe, is that if you have, to give you a contrast, is if you have a course, you're like, oh, I'll sell it for $100. We're going to get out my favorite little calculator, which is just my phone. And really easy calculations, but we're going to do it. Many of you have already done it in your head, but I just want to be sure. Okay, remember, what's the goal? 6 figures. What's 6 figures? 1,000,000. So we take 100,000 and we divide it by 100. How many units of $100 course would I have to sell? That's the recipe. Okay. 100 units, or 100 is the price point, 1,000 units. Just looking at that, how do you think I feel?
Exhausted.
I'm exhausted. Give her, right? And again, you can jump online, and all these gurus are out there that they'll tell you that you can do it, right? I'm just telling you, it didn't work for me. 5 years in, right? It didn't work for me. But let's even say, you had a $200 offer. You're like, oh, well, I'll double it. 200. Well, now go ahead and chat. How many people do you need to buy? Put in the chat for me, ladies. Let me make sure you follow me. How many people do you need to have now that you have 500 people? That's a lot of women networking, isn't it, sisters? Right? That's a lot of polka dot meetings, right? So why do I like to just start with a 10K offer? How many people do you need for a 10K offer? Come on, ladies. Come on. How many people do you need for 100K? 10. Can you breathe with that? Can you just feel your whole energetic field go, right? Now, I know there could be people that are like, oh my gosh, but I'm going to be like the inventor and the creator of like Apple. Well, that's for one of those people. Sister, go out there and do it. But I'm trying to give you the recipe, a couple eggs, a cup of flour, like you put it in and what comes out the other end. All right. You only need 10 people. So I'm going to break it down even further, which is what would be included in a 10K offer? What would be included in a 10K offer? I'm going to tell you what I built out, how I went from 50 to 150. I went from 50 to 150. Okay. I will tell you, I didn't even start out with 10K. That was a lot for me. But I'm telling you right now, I'm just going to do it right now. I'm going to give you and gift you the energetic frequency. You can start at 10. Go ahead and tap your chest. I'm going to go ahead and infuse this call with the energy of at least a 10K offer. And tap your chest while I'm doing this and say, I'm worth it. I'm worth a 10K offer. I'm worth a 10K offer. Why? Because I'm worth a 10K offer. Why? Because your life is your PhD. You have your PhD. You don't have to go out and get another certification. Please don't go out and try to get another certification, because that's not going to get you to your next 100K. It's actually quite simple. Okay, 10K offer. Let me tell you, I'm going to build it out for you right now. This is like the inner. I'm giving you like the goods. Tell me in the chat. Are you excited? You excited? I'm going to tell you right here, right now. You don't have to figure it out. I'm just going to give it to you. Can I give it to you? All right, let's do this. We got yes. All right, lean in. It's so simple. Lean in. So one client, and you don't even have to do Zoom. You don't have to even like show up pretty for these meetings, quite honestly. I have built, a $1 million business with this and this. Two things: a phone and the willingness to talk. I remember when Maddie was little in kindergarten, they're like, "What does your mommy do for a living?" She goes, "She talks on the phone." Ladies, kiss it. Put in the chat, kiss, Kiss, kiss it. Mama always said, kiss it. What's kiss it stand for? Keep it stupid simple. We overcomplicate because you've been conditioned to, you've been told by all the experts how hard it's going to be and how they all have the secret sauce. And I'm not even, as I say that, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, but maybe they think that I'm that too. I'm just telling you, I've seen this work over and over and over again for so many women. I can't imagine it not working if you really stood in your power of how amazing you are, because your life is your PhD. And if you have a calling, which I know you all do, your life is also your ministry. It's spiritual for you, right? It's the gifts that God gave you. All right, so here's how it works. a 10K offer. Break it down to, first of all, raise your hand if you'd like to only work with your private clients 3 weeks out of every 4 weeks or 5 weeks. Raise your hand if that sounds kind of cool. It's how I've designed my whole business. And so the last week, and sometimes, did you know this? Some months have how many weeks? Some of them have 4, but some of them have how many? Many are like, how do you travel? How do you camp? How do you do all this stuff? Because I designed my life around the business, or my business around my life, the lifestyle that I wanted. Okay. I'm not saying this to like brag. I'm saying, let's just set it up for you too. All right. So, and Nicole said yes, or 5. She's following along. I love it. There's 5 weeks. So there are going to be there's some months where 2 weeks you can be marketing, you can be traveling, you can be networking, you can be doing whatever you want to do. I'm not to say that every month that I like clear my schedule and I'm traveling, because there's, there's other things to do in a business. So I don't want to paint an inaccurate picture. I want to be really real with you. But because of this, I was even able to navigate and moving some things around, tweaking it a little bit. I'm going to go to Egypt for 3 weeks, October 21st, right? Because I've been able to like create the life that I want around the structure. All right, so here we go. Back to it. 10K. All right, so you're going to do 3 sessions a month. 3 sessions. That's it. They are on the phone or Zoom. There are a lot of coaches that love Zoom. But I still love just the anonymity and walking around in my PJs with my husband calls it rocking the bows. I got my bows on and I'm just like, I'm totally with that client. If you can tell, I have a lot of energy and I like to move my body. And so I actually am a better coach if I don't feel like this, that I have to like just stand still. Like if you ever come see me live, like I move around a lot. So right, they get 3 sessions. Most coaches, I'll tell you, I'll be straight up, give 30-minute sessions. And I still like 50-minute sessions, because if they're going to spend, invest in me at that level, and I've played around with this, but it's just kind of what I like. Like, I feel like the big stuff can happen later in the call. So I do 50-minute sessions, which is different than the majority of coaches out there, right? And I have had coaches kind of place judgment on like, really, why don't you only do like a half hour? And I'm like, it just doesn't, for me, feel right. But I want to let you know, it could be 30 minutes. The industry, a lot of people in the industry, so the coaching I've received from my coaches have been more like 30 to 40 minutes. So I'm just being real. I'm just telling you what I do, if that's all right. I'm just being totally real. All right, so 3 sessions a month, 50 minutes. Why do I do 50 minutes? Because I need integration time. And that way I super book my clients. So it's not like I have a client and then a bunch of time and a client a bunch of time. Like, I like to get in flow state. And when I'm in flow state, like if I have just gotten off a call where my woman has had a breakthrough, energetically, I'm leveraging those breakthroughs into the next call, So I also love the lifestyle part of that. Carlene says, I feel like you're getting into the juicy stuff at 30 minutes. Yeah, me too. Like the real stuff. All right. So you've got 3 calls and they're on the phone. And that actually is as simple as it gets. Now that sounds crazy. You're like, what? Now, what I will tell you is that like, I'll also give you the 5 areas from that standpoint of like when I'm on the phone with someone, I have like a whole thing, and we actually, let me double check, because in Abundance Unleashed, we've done different versions of it. It is now a 3-month immersion. I just want to double check. Yeah, we go over the closer's compass, because there is an art form to feminine selling where you're really partnering with someone. And we do cover that in Abundance Unleashed with the closer's compass. So, but I want to tell you right now, like, what are the areas that I consistently cover? And these have transformed over the areas. It's funny. It's 11/11 right now. This is about new beginnings, quadruple new beginnings for you. The areas are this. And this is for whether you, first of all, there are 3 areas that people very easily will always pay 10K for. The 3 most lucrative areas in coaching and consulting are relationships, money, and health. Those are like the 3 big queen pins, right? But you really can make money doing just about anything when you can transform someone's life. Okay. So these are the 5 areas that you could apply. You could apply it to spirituality, right? Like I'm standing even more and more in my gifts as a spiritual teacher, as a psychic, right? Like that's who I really am, right? But, I have been more like coach, and then I played with Worth and Wealth Alchemist. So I know who you are, is absolutely the gift and the wisdom that you can bring. Just you'll look at your past and kind of like what you've been able to do, and then you share that wisdom. Here are the five things that you could promise, and anyone could promise. First thing is you're going to help them to get crystal clear on what they desire, like what they really desire. Because most people in life are living a life of mediocrity where they've turned the volume back on what do they really want? Okay. All right. So you're going to help them get crystal clear on what they want. Right. Second thing that you're going to do is you're going to help them to create a roadmap, some kind of roadmap. So you're going to want to do some level of goal setting. Okay. And we do one of the one that I teach is something I created called manifestation mapping, which we dive into in Abundance Unleashed. But just the basic, what do you want? Why do you want it? How are you going to get it? Right? That's it. Y'all can do that. And here's the magic is that people want your presence. And they don't have that in other areas of their life. What I love about coaching and consulting is you actually want for your client what they want, right? And other relationships, there can be some conflict of interest. Okay. So even just your presence of like doing that, the goal setting with them. Third thing you're going to be able to do is help them to clear any blocks, right? So once they know what they want and you've helped them create a plan on how to get it, right? There's some skill sets that you have that they don't have. So you begin to kind of see like, well, what's in their way? Like for me, I'm going to help you clear your money blocks. I'm going to help you to forgive yourself and your relationship to money. We're going to help you with the imposter syndrome, right? We're going to help you leverage the power of group. These are some things that I do, some skill sets that I have. We're going to give you a human design reading and a money mantra. A woman I just spoke to recently, I gave her a money mantra and she's like, oh my gosh, Dr. Kelly, I can't believe it. Now, she already is at that above 6 figures, and she's wanting to take her business to the next level. She has a different kind of problem. The problem that she's having right now is she can't take on any more one-on-one clients. She's hiring other people to do what she does. So it's that next level of leverage. But what I'm training you right now, it can actually get you to your first million without really much more than like one virtual assistant and some, like contract workers here and there. Right? You don't need big team. That's the other lie people are telling you. You need big team. You don't need big team. Keep it simple. Okay. So what did we say? Number 1, clarity on what they want. Number 2, a goal setting, like how they're going to get it. Number 3, you gotta give them a clear path. You gotta tell them what you're really good at. Like, for example, I know Nicole, you do the Enneagram, right? Like that's one of the things she does, right? I know that Rhonda is a rock star copywriter. Right. So she's going to, after she kind of diagnoses, she's going to go ahead and help them with their copywriting. Right. Would be, and maybe she like helps them with kind of like different words. I'm not really sure. I'm just trying to look at examples of who's in the room. Right. Angela might be sharing with them like how to. So Angela is a writer, this amazing author, and she's written books. Right. So maybe Angela's version of this is like helping somebody to, get into that flow state, right? How do you get into that flow state of creativity, right? Like we all have gifts. And Judy helps people with health. So I'm sure she has certain things that they have to learn to get their health to the next level. All right. So you all can, clear the blocks and educate them on the things. The 4th thing may or may not be included, but a person's environment is incredibly important with how are they going to do success, their environment. So, this could look like maybe you help them with some clutter clearing, right? Maybe their environment is really toxic, right? So I wouldn't necessarily include environment for everyone, but if you feel connected, this is an area that you could help people with. Okay. Nicole says negative self-talk. Yeah. So that would be in the third pillar of what you work with is negative self-talk. Okay. If you're a health coach, environment is huge. You could, have them make sure that they've got their running shoes and their workout clothes at the foot of their bed. So that then when they get up, it's part of their environment. Oh, I got to go do that. I got to go running. Okay. So the 4th one is kind of optional. See if you could weave it into what's included. And then here's the thing at the very end, the 5th one is more about who they be. And it's more about their vibrational alignment with what that next level of success is. It's the hidden stuff. Kind of like if you think of a glacier. When you look at the glacier, what do you see? You see what's above water. But you as a coach or consultant, right, is you're going to see the things that they can't see, which makes you the expert, right? Which really makes you that expert. It's really including those unseen. So this is where this 5th area, I do use some models to help me uncover what can't they see. So Nicole might run the Enneagram. I'm going to do a human design chart reading, right? There are the strength analysis, right, that you can get online as a tool. There's DISC analysis, right? I do like in my coaching practices, like have something that is going to guide you as a coach or consultant that as soon as you come out of the gate, you already have valuable knowledge to help fast track them. And it's actually one of the things you're going to talk about. You wonder, what are you going to do on the first call? You're going to review some of these things that you've brought from their intake, So is this making sense? Yeah. Kelly says, my hardest part about this is I feel like I'm too young to coach other people. Even with the vast life I've lived, I'm chasing the next certification to prove my worth and myself. I totally get you, Kelly. And I think about, I remember you probably don't remember this, but for the other ladies that are listening, remember Doogie Howser, like that young doctor, right? Is that, yeah, there can be ageism in both directions. But here's what I promise you, Kelly. if you just would anchor into your gifts, like own them like never before, energetically, your voice would carry them to the yes, like who you're being. And that really is at the core of my group program, why I built it out, why I built out Abundance Unleashed, is because you're actually speaking to the very thing that is part of my roadmap. We build out your worthiness triad. And some of you have already taken it, and it's time to re-audit it, to go through it, and to rebuild out this next version. It's more about, right? This is a writer downer. People are buying your energy, which is why I asked in the beginning of the call, where's your energy today? Right? People are buying your energy. So it's not about they're going to buy more from you by having that level of that next certification. In fact, I used to say I never had somebody really drill me on my certifications, but now that I've done this for so long, that's no longer true, because I have had a handful of people. First of all, I'm going to be real clear with you. Well, let me see in the chat. Let me see. Do you think I have a coaching certification? Put in the chat, yes or no. Nicole says no. Do you think I have a coaching? Rhonda says no. Carlene says no. Kelly says no. So you may know because you know me, or I could be like, oh my gosh, I'm so insulted. They don't think I'm that good. I don't, because by the time I was called out to coach, and it was from a patient, I'll actually tell you again, they're buying your energy. How did I get started in coaching? Most of you actually have never heard this story. So anyway, let me tell you, the reason I don't have a certification is because I didn't feel the need to. I was ready to get in and dive in and start getting results for people, right? I could maybe someday go and do that, but I knew I didn't need to, that my life was my PhD, that my work is my medicine and my ministry, okay? And when you stand in that and you like are there from like so heart-centered service. Now, granted, if you were like, oh my gosh, I'm going to go act as an engineer and not become an engineer, that's pretty scary. Or I'm going to go and just act as a heart surgeon and not learn that. Right? There's things that people could die if you didn't go about it the right way. But coaching and consulting, they're buying your energy, right? And they're buying who, most likely your ideal people are who you were. So you've already accomplished. That's the gift. All right. So to go back to how did I get into coaching? Rhonda, I love it. She says, I don't have a journalism degree. I love it. I love it. You don't need one. You don't need one. Okay. So I got into coaching because one day when I was in chiropractic, I had a patient come up to me. And he's like, Dr. Kelly, do you have a little bit of time? I would love to set up some time with you. I want to talk to you about something. And honestly, my first inclination was like, oh, he wants to sell me something, right? Because generally those kinds of conversations led to that. So that was my first question. I said, are you wanting to sell me something? He goes, no, absolutely not. He goes, I just need a little bit of extra time. I said, okay. So we set up some time, and here's the deal. He's like, I just see who you're being in chiropractic and your business, and I really admire you. And not that I want to be with you. That was the other thing I'm thinking, oh gosh, he's not gonna ask me on a date. He's like, yeah, I really would love to learn from you. And I don't know if you've ever considered coaching, but he was getting ready he was coming out of corporate, or wanting to come out of corporate, and he wanted to start his own business. And so, yeah, that was his proposal. He goes, would you be my coach? And at that time I was like, well, all right, Kirk, like, what are you thinking? Like, what would this look like? And he's like, I don't know. We could like meet and I pay you some money and we work and, and so in that moment, the coach was born. Now, in reality, I think I've been coaching my whole life, right? But that was the first. When you have a calling, like the universe asks you to step up. And I could not said, I wasn't like, oh, Kirk, I need to go get my certification in coaching before I do this. I said yes. And I'll never forget, he wrote me a check. And I did it, that he was my first client. And I met with him in downtown Boulder. at a restaurant. And I can remember like I was kind of nervous, like, what's this gonna look like? But in reality, like I had already invested in myself by so much, right? And he wrote me a check. And who knows? Like I don't know if I could look back, but let me tell you, it was not a 10K offer. All right. Right. But it was the beginning of something. When it's a calling, Kelly, you have a calling to serve vets. Like your calling is so much bigger. Right. And I know all of you have a calling, right? And the universe has asked you to step up, and you've been hiding out in certifications, you've been hiding out in courses, and you haven't actually been bold enough to have conversations, like deep, intimate conversations that lead somebody from them having a problem to you solving the problem through one-on-one interactions. And they're deep and they're conversations, and it's old school. It's not going to require you to like bust your ass on social media. My first business, I couldn't even use social media because I was working with women who had herpes, and no woman that has herpes is going to raise their hand and say, Dr. Kelly is the best coach. Oh, that would out them. That would out them. All right. So anyway, you don't need another certification. They're buying your energy. I already gave you the roadmap, the 5 things that could be covered, right? So a year, how many visits is that? 3 sessions a month. Do the math, 36. It's that simple. But the question is, will you do it? Will you do it? And many of you, you'll go back to the drawing board, and then today will be another day of like, well, that was cool. I wish I could do that. But how many of you will allow yourself to be that moment? Remember I told you how the $86,000 came like that? We cleared the energy, right? And within 48 hours, I had $86,000 on the table of yes with contracts, like ready to go. It wouldn't have happened if I didn't have, again, I had more than a 10K offer. So you can actually do the math. Okay. It didn't take much. Like 10 people in the course of a year, that's less than 1 a year. So many of you think like, well, how many conversations would I have to have? If you are barely mediocre, like actually just beginner, what I would tell you is to get those 10K people, you're probably going to need to talk to 30 people. You're probably going to need to talk to 30 people. Right? Did I get that right? 30% conversion, something like that. Yeah, triple it. Something like that. Again, math isn't my number one. That's the other thing. You can build a $1 million business and not be so quick. Now, my husband, you give him numbers and he's like a genius. Like he just thinks that way. I don't. Why? Because I just want to share my energy, my knowledge, and my connection with you. And the numbers, don't matter. But I wanted to give you a recipe today. I've given you a recipe. I've given you a recipe. All right. Kelly says, man, I love this, Kelly. Thank you. Yes, this is my moment. I feel clear. All right. Let's do some laser coaching. Let's do some laser coaching because this is where the real magic happens. But before we do that, I'm going to pause the recording for a second. So let's see. Recording paused. Oh my gosh. The whole thing was paused. Craziness. It wasn't meant to be. It wasn't meant to be. So, but we'll go ahead and we'll resume it. That's hysterical. That's hysterical. It just shows you, the women that showed up were the women that this was here for. So take a moment, stand up and shake it out. And then we're going to do some laser coaching because your stuff, I know, just came up. So shake it out. Shaking is a great way to release energy. Shake it out, shake it out, shake it out. Take a sip of water or beverage of your choice. All right. Coffee, tea, like me. Now that's what we've got. All right. Nicole says BRB. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. All right, quick review, and then we're gonna do laser coaching. All right. Let's go back from where we started, which is we have this. The only thing that is in your way is you. Is you. In this moment, your next 6 figures, it's already there to just grab, right? And again, it's more about who are you being? What is your energetic resonance? And we've already proved your ability to manifest because you already have some really cool things in your life that you never thought was possible. But it's your interface, the divinity which you are, right? Is we want to get you in that divine right alignment. Okay. And then as we shared, you need a high ticket offer because then you would only need 10 people. And let's say that you charge 20. How many people would you need over the course of a year? Again, and let's collapse time. Like I think you guys could do this in 90 days. 90 days. There been people that do it in 30 days, but here's the distinction. Many of you will just sit and never make it happen. Like you won't get in conversations. It does require you picking up the phone, right? Many of you will be lost in social media land, right? Make connections, go out into your community, meet people, let them know what you're up to. Oh, here's the other thing. Come up with a sexy name for your free conversation. For your free conversation, come up with a sexy name because it magnetizes. It magnetizes. All right. Laser coaching time. Let's do it. Kelly, you want to go? Are you still with us?
Yeah, sure.
All right. What's up for you?
You know, I'm at lunch, but it's fine. I am getting my degree in psychology very soon. And the reason I'm in school is because I've been wanting to I've been able to build my life because of what I was given with my 5 years in the military. So the GI Bill and all those things have afforded me a lot of things. And I've been able to pay for things like your coaching and other awesome things. And I'm manifesting all of this cool stuff. And I'm just like, I need to connect the dots. And I keep having this thought like veteran women can't afford me. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yep.
And that's kind of where I'm stuck because I'm like, okay, but I know that these women are like, they have grit and they have the ability to like the 80 women that I'm with in my veteran women's program. We're meeting in DC next month. And I just want to like I'm not just a photographer. I'm not just a sound bowl player. I'm not just like all of these things. And I'm trying to figure out, okay, what is it that I can offer people that's different, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. And it's like an amalgamation of like all those pieces, right? To bring into that unified field. And Kelly just completed a cacao ceremony with us this past weekend. She's in our Living the Limitless program. And yeah, we were talking about synthesis and bringing in all of those pieces. So they're getting like all of you.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that one key piece is like, you're like, okay, veterans, some of the veterans can't afford me. And yet I hear you, and probably there is some truth to there are veterans that can't afford you. You know, like let's just be real with that. Right? Let's be real with that. And so, and yet, is it accurate to say that there are veterans that can afford you?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's a big reason I started the nonprofit is because I know that I could find sponsors for these women who can't afford me.
Absolutely.
You know, and give them the ability to be able to afford me. And I bring that to them and provide them the necessary mental health that they need, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I think that you going after grant money, maybe it's maybe for you, it could be $10,000 grants. It could look differently. As I said, like we get to be flexible and we get to be creative with this. Like what I just laid out is a more traditional path, right? For like a coach. But I also do believe that it only 10 women to get you started just to get into that cash flow, especially with psychology and health, like all the things that you bring. I do think they could there are a lot of women that could be, and it might be an older skew for you, women who came out of the military and they've gone out into corporate or they've gone out into different things. They've already made their money. Right. And so, I remember Bobby shared with us yesterday. I loved it. She was like, women need to be wealthy, willing. I forget what her other W was. Do you want to chime in, Bobby? What was the third W that you said?
Worldly, wealthy,
worldly,
and willing.
Yeah. And so I still think this recipe will work for you, Kelly. It just might need to be massaged a little bit, you know? And yeah, I know that there's ton of money out there, right? For grant money, check out I Find You Clothes. Sometimes they'll launch or they'll reveal kind of grant money. So it might look